What is going on, friends and fellow artists? This is Matt, and I am very excited to share this video with you guys. This is going to be the first video of our first series on the channel, and this is getting started with a project that I've had planned for a very long time in creating a series of characters that I created years ago, actually, in the 3D space, and then eventually printing them out as little statues or game pieces. I'm very excited to get started. But as you can see, we're not in the 3D software. We're actually looking at my tablet, and the reason is because when I'm going to start a project like this, what I am going to do is I am actually going to sketch out the characters before I actually start creating them. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because in this project especially, the characters are going to look very stylized. They're going to be a lot more cartoony. Their proportions are going to be a little bit more exaggerated. So in order to make sure that all of my characters have the same proportions, I'm going to go into the software and kind of dummy up a rough outline around the first character, and then I'm going to use that to create all of my other models. So let me go ahead and show you. First, before we get started, this is the app I'm using. I also use Infinite Painter every once in a while, but I primarily use the Sketchbook app. You can find it in the App Store and in the iStore. It is on both. It's a great tool. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click on that and open it up. Now, I'm not going to do a full training on this software. There's a lot of great stuff out there that you can find, but just a quick overview. Along the right side here are going to be the different layers. Now, these are different work surfaces that you can basically add, subtract. You can move them around. You can basically merge them. Really, really helpful when you're adding different colors, or if you're trying to do different versions of the same thing, you can duplicate and modify without messing up your first sketch. Really, really cool. Over here is going to be all your tools, pens, pencils, erasers, smudge tools. And then up along here is going to be some utilities that you can use to basically help you create your image. We're going to use a couple of them today. I'll show you. Now, for this project, again, I was trying to get my characters to have a more cartoony style, silhouette. And the reason is because I want to make these characters a little bit easier to create than, say, a more realistic proportion, realistic featured person, because that can take a lot of time and a lot of effort to get the person looking more realistic. So I really, really wanted to kind of do this more stylized version first and maybe ease you guys into some of the more complicated stuff later on. So the first sketch I did of the first character we're going to do, it's going to be an orc warrior. And the first sketch I did was this one. Now you can see he's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with him. He's a lot of fun. The problem is with this first version that I made is he is going to be very difficult to pose and print in 3D with the proportions that I have, right? He's very cool, but like if I want to say have him holding a battle axe or a shield or anything like that, or having really cool dynamic posing, it's going to be very difficult because his arms and legs are so short and his head is really big. So I realized after I first sketched this guy that I needed to make some adjustments. And I did this with a few characters, and I do have a version I'm going to show you guys. It's going to be the primary version we're working off of. But I am going to go through the entire process just for the sake of this exercise and to show you how I do it, okay? So I did a few characters. You can see them here. And I went from this version to something that was a little bit bigger, okay? And with all of the characters that I did, I eventually did do an elf male, who's this guy, and an elf female, which is her, okay? And we're going to see these guys come back again. I'm going to be designing them and printing them as well. But let's go back to the elf male, and I'll show you what I did. So I have the character here, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Okay, I can definitely pose these arms, legs, his head's a little bit more cartoony on the bigger side, but I can definitely work with it. So once I was happy with the proportions that I had, what I did was I went and added a layer, and I've already done this. And then I selected a pencil, and then I minimized all that. And then on the new layer, I actually went through and I just sketched around all of the body and basically got just a generic form for what I wanted those proportions to be, okay? And when I did that, this is what I came up with, okay? And you can see him there. If I put them together, you can see where they kind of come together. My elves are a little bit thinner typically. But that being said, you can still see, when I look at this, okay, that's where the eyes go. The eyes are a certain size, nose, etc. Now, what I would do from here, if I were going to be taking the orc and starting from scratch with him, I would add a layer. And what's great is when you add a layer, when you're on a layer and you add a layer, it actually brings it up next to it, okay? Now, I'd make sure all my other previous layers are locked. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to start to work. Now, for again, the sake of the video and to help kind of keep time down to a minimum, I'm going to select a tool called the mirror, okay? Now, I wouldn't always use this, but I'm going to here just to show you guys how cool it is. When you add a mirror modifier, and we're going to be doing this a lot in the 3D, which is another reason why I wanted to show you, basically what it does, it takes, let's go ahead and minimize these while we have all this. What it basically does, it takes from here, move that over just a little bit, from this side, and it's going to put it on this side. Okay, watch what I do. So as I go in and I start drawing jaw lines and bringing that jawline together. Again, this is an orc, so it's going to have a bigger jaw. It's actually going to do the same thing from left to right. And it does take some getting used to, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so there's these, he's got kind of like braided hair. You saw that in the other version. He does have kind of like bigger mouth with and a big nose. Perfect. And he's got pointed ears. Okay. And then let's go into the eyes. Let's go right into the eyes. The eyes are very important to my style. They're a little bit more anime-ish. They're not really totally anime style, but they're kind of similar, which is why I say that. We're going to do a little line there. And then we're just going to go this. You can see how fun this tool is, like when you start working with it. But then there are going to be times where it's going to be really weird because I don't think we're meant to be that symmetrical. So I think even though it's like 1-to-1, sometimes it does throw you off when you're doing drawings like this. Okay, it's pretty good. It's fun. And then as we go down here, we're going to go ahead, we're going to skip out a little bit, and we're going to give him he's going to have like a fur cape. Because he's based on Vikings. The orcs in my universe are based primarily on Vikings. So we're going to do that. We're going to give him a vest. And we're going to give him big arms because he's big and strong. And you guys can just kind of see how I'm just like going through and I'm sketching over. I'm going to give him some bracers. This version, okay, of the skeleton with its own layer. Okay, and he's got his vest, and that's good. He's gonna be a little muscular, so he's gonna have that six-pack. Let's do a belt, and there's gonna be some things that you can't actually do to the mirror, and I'll show you that in a second. We're just trying to get the basic form here down, and then I can show you guys some more details once I turn the modifier off. Okay. So as I go through, I'm going to go through and basically do all of this. Okay. And now once I have that basic stuff done, I can actually hit this little eye here and make the actual skeleton disappear and see what I've done. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn off the mirror just by clicking it again. Okay. I'm still in my actual character screen. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this over to a pen real quick. Actually, you know what? Let's turn that mirror back on because I want to get some of this done. I want to kind of speed the process along a little bit to show you guys. Oh. And this is why it's important to minimize these when you get done because it's actually trying to get me to put it on a locked screen. So watch. So as I go through and forgive me, I'm trying to move it a little bit quicker than I normally would. But as I go in and make these adjustments, let's give him some bushy eyebrows. There you go. Eyelashes. You guys get the overall idea, though, of what I'm working with. Oh, I think I messed that up. Yeah, this is great. Watch this. Bip, bip, bip. There we go. Just hit the little back button and it automatically takes you back a couple steps. Yeah, I think I just did it again. Yep. Boop. 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 There we go. All right. There we go. And I'm just going to go in here. And this is actually a much younger version of the character than what I'm planning on using. And I'll show you guys the final version that I'm planning on using here in a minute. But overall, you guys get the idea. Now, again, we're working on the whole process is basically revolving around the idea. And we always have to keep this in the back of our head that we're not just drawing this guy, or we're not just going to put him in 3D. We are actually going to be posing him and printing him. So you're not going to be adding any kind of hair textures or anything like that within. It's all going to have to be solid. And the reason why I bring that up is because it can be tricky at times to basically get a solid object to look like fur or hair, even in a cartoony way. When it comes to the big studios, they have entire teams that do hair follicles and stuff on movies and video games. A great example that I always tell people to go check out, if you want to see how involved it is to do hair in 3D, go look at the movie The Lorax, which is a great movie, and then go look at the credits and watch how many people they had just animating hair in that movie, to give you any idea of the amount of work it takes. Okay. He is not nearly as mean as my typical version of this guy is, but it's okay. For the sake of this video, you guys get the point. Now, as I finish up, and let's say this is the version that I decided I was going to use of the character, I now have an orc warrior that is going to be the same style, the same silhouette, the same proportions as my other characters, right? So I have this guy, and if I were to take him away and bring up my elf, you're going to see the same basic proportions have been used, right? So all of my characters, by doing what I just did and showing you guys what I just did, all of my characters are going to be relatively the same as far as head size and everything else. Now I can go back in there and I can adjust him and I can make edits and kind of make him the ultimate version that I have, but I've already kind of done that again before I recorded this, and I'll just show you guys what his final version is going to look like, because I've already done that, and it's over here. And this is going to be the character that we actually start modeling in 3D. Again, this video was just to show you guys the process that I go through, how I would go about starting, creating characters, and trying to get them all to be the same size, the same silhouette. But this is going to be the guy that we start with. He is our orc warrior. He does have a shield. He does have a hammer. We're going to model those in 3D. I didn't put them here. But yeah, this is going to be our starting point. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to follow some of the same techniques we did here in the 3D space. We're going to add mirror modifiers. We're going to have what happens on one side happening on the other, and I'll show you all that. But this is it. This is our guy. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and create the assets in. I'll show you guys how I do that. Our next video, it's going to be starting in the 3D software. We're going to start building his head. And then after that, we'll do a video where we build out his body. And then from there, we'll do the posing and we'll be prepping for print. Very excited again. I can't wait to show you guys how I go about doing this. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please feel free to comment, subscribe, like. You guys know the drill. Appreciate you guys so much, and I'll be talking to you soon.